Hi everybody. I posted on social media a question about writing about positivity, and a lot of people said that they would like to read that. So I decided, just for fun, I would read a little bit about the beginning of the book that I've started to read, and I'll get your comments, okay? So I hope it's not too boring. Anyway, here it is. Here's the first part. As I sit down to write this book with the desire to pass on what I've learned about interprofessional communication in business and in healthcare, I realize how my desire to blend art and science has come full circle. It was a stark and dormy night. In my life off stage, I would have laughed and corrected that tongue-twisted gibberish because it was a rainy night after all. However, that particular night, those words tumbled out of my mouth when I was on stage. And I was performing with the improv and stand-up comedy troupe that I helped co-found called the Barely Insane Players. We were together for about 3 years here in the East Bay area of San Francisco until life took us other ways. Well, anyway, I don't recall a lot about that night except for one little incident that shocked the audience as well as we players on stage. It went like this. We kept a tray with mugs of water backstage for the company members, and the tray was sitting on a bookshelf off stage left, and while 3 of us were on stage, one of us took a drink from his cup of water off stage. And because it was so dark back there, he misplaced the cup, and it caused the whole tray of ceramic cups to crash to the floor backstage. It made a terrible noise. And as we were seasoned improvers on stage, we heard the din, looked up at each other in surprise, and one of our very quick-witted troupe added a line that caused the audience to just scream with laughter. I wish I could remember what Jerry said, but I can't. And of course, our improv performances were improv, and they weren't filmed, so I'll never know. Anyway, this incident stands out in my memory because on that stark and dormy night, a door of opportunity opened up that I never could have predicted. After the show, we stood around talking to the audience members, and we heard the usual comments. Are you sure you didn't plan those scenes, especially the one with the big crash? A lot of people were asking that question. And as usual, we reassured the audience that we wouldn't ever plan anything like that. And because of the way improv is done, we actually couldn't plan it. It wouldn't be improv if we did. And after all, as proof, we said, we took your suggestions, the audience suggestions. It's kind of proof that improv is improv. And I remember somebody saying, well, you could have had some plants. But we didn't. We didn't do that. As improvers, we don't do that. Okay, point made. And why is that? Well, we depend upon ourselves and each other and the creative muse or force that inspires and propels us to creativity. More on that later. Well, that may sound pretty woo-woo, you think? Okay, well, I challenge you to continue reading. A man named Michael was among the people who came forward to chat with us after the show. He listened to our playful banter, and then he pulled 2 of us aside and he said, look, I'm an engineer with X company, which happened to be a very famous software company. And by the way, the year was 1995. And he says, I'm just wondering, could you guys show our engineers how to play nice with each other and get their egos out of the way and learn how to problem solve? Well, we said yes. And that's how I began teaching improv in 1995. Well, an interesting twist of fate was that the others in the troupe couldn't make it the day that it was decided that we would come. I don't know, whatever, there was a snafu with dates or something like that. But I made it, and I managed to do the workshop with them alone that day. And it was great fun. I'd never done an improv workshop, although I have been an educator for a long time. So I winged it and improvised, as you could say. And we had a great time. And what I did was, not only did I incorporate some of the theater exercises that as improvers we learn, but I incorporated improvisational exercises from art and music as well. And the students loved it. They absolutely loved it. And so I started teaching improv to businesses, because businesses saw a vision of how they might effectively use this method to problem solve. And so that's basically the very beginning of the book. So I wanted to put that out there, and I'll take your comments. Okay? Thanks for listening.